Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to the front lines. This is Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you know update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And today we're going to be talking about Neo, who's recently came under fire for his remarks regarding the idea that not only are children being allowed to go through gender affirming care, but parents are also allowing them and encouraging their children to also do the same thing. And how he felt that it was totally out of pocket, bizarre, in that parents, quote, I feel like the parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is. If you're a little boy, if your little boy comes up to you and says, Daddy, I want to be a girl, you just let him rock with that, right? Let's play this clip.
Parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is.
Amen.
It's like, okay,
Lost control.
if your little boy comes to you and says, Daddy, I want to be a girl, and you just let him rock with that, you just let,
Right,
he's 5.
right. And where did he get that
If
from?
you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's gonna do that.
Exactly.
Like, when did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that.
And to medicate these young kids that are 5, 6, growing up and knowing that it affects their brain, it affects their organs, it makes them sick, but they're not allowed to do drugs, they're not allowed to do alcohol.
Right.
But we can medicate
He
them
can't
up.
drive a car yet, but he can decide his sex.
Right, right. What sexual orientation, and he can cut up his pee-pee, and that, to me, that makes no sense
And
whatsoever.
I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that they either passed or are trying to pass a law in LA that states if your child comes to you and asks to do some of these things and you say no, they could take your kid from you.
Yeah, that's true. Just passed in California.
That makes no sense.
They want us to have no control over our children.
Right? And that's really, I'm going to stop the video there. It's 3 minutes long. You guys definitely should check it out, watch the full clip yourself. But we're also going to talk about how Neo's response, because they gave him flack after he said this. And we're going to go over his response. But to talk about what she said, right? They don't want to have you. They don't want you to have control over your children, right? They want to have control over your children, and we covered that before with this whole. This is from the Daily Mail, right? Exclusive. The trans school conspiracy exposed. Midwest teachers trade tips on subversively and quietly transitioning kids without telling their parents and skirting Republican gender laws in workshop funded by the federal government, right? We covered these individuals before. These are teachers who are openly under the guise of we are just having a teachers workshop to talk about different ways we can educate children, different tactics we can use in schools, and yada yada yada. However, under the guise of all that, what are they talking about? They're openly talking about, right? We got the little captions right here. They're openly talking about how they are trying to, under their own personal code of ethics, they're going to encourage children to identify under the LGBTQ banner and, in some cases, experiment with what type of sexuality they are, right? And hide that information from their parents. Again, subversively and quietly transitioning kids without telling their parents. We covered stories like this from the New York Post. Nearly 6,000 U.S. public schools hide child's gender status from parents. The teachers, these left-wing, far-left progressive teachers, are infiltrating schools and openly trying to encourage children to take part in this type of ideology, and are telling these kids to not tell their parents, right? And they're openly, again, colluding with amongst themselves using taxpayer dollars to encourage children to take part in these activities, telling them to not teach their, not to tell their parents what they're being taught in these schools. And then on top of that, you have, what Neo was talking about with the what was called a trans kids haven, which is because Republican states are coming out and saying, hey, we are not going to allow parents to take their children to doctors to get what is called gender affirming care, which is the puberty blockers, right? And the hormone therapy, right? We're not going to allow that. Blue states came out and said, oh no, we're going to do that. We're going to have, these trans havens where either trans youths in their parents, right, or their parents can then flee from those red states, come to the blue states, and get their kids the gender affirming care that they need. However, when you look at the actual verbiage of these laws, people are confused as to whether or not, because again, they say trans use, right? So it's basically, yeah, these kids under the age of 18 could just flee from their parents, right? If their parents are, if you're one of these Midwest teachers trying to encourage a child to be trans or any part of the LGBTQ community, and their parents figure out and say, no, we're not going to allow our child to take part in this. Well, hey, your child might decide, oh, I'm going to run away to one of these blue states where I can get the trans affirming care that I want, that I've been told to get by my teachers, right? So a lot of that is up in the air as to what exactly these blue states are trying to allow, because for the most part, they're just passing these laws, no limits, right? Literally no limits. Just like when it comes to the topic of abortion, right? A lot of these blue states are basically passing no limits, right? You can get possibly an abortion from day one you figure out you're pregnant to up to the ninth month, right? So it's all over the place, right? And so really, these fact checkers will come out and say, oh, well, that's not true. You Republicans are just pushing a bunch of conspiracy theory. You read the laws really don't push a set limit on how young do these trans youths have to be, and do they need parent permission to undergo these type of treatments, right? Like, really, what's going on here? Okay, and on top of that, right, you also got to worry about, you not just have to worry about the teachers trying to teach your children all this crap. You also got to worry about your child falling into the trap that so many people do is fall into, is the celebrity worship, right? Because social media, right? Megan Fox is a prime example. She has 3 biological sons. However, her oldest son she allows to cross dress, right? And here he is wearing a shirt saying "Strong Girls," despite the fact that he is a biological boy. Okay, and the other 2 sons here, if you look at the uncensored, I don't want to put out the uncensored version on this show, because they're kids, right? I don't want to show faces of children. However, you actually look at the pictures of these kids in different pictures of them. They all look, they're all dressed up like girls, like most of the time. They look like young girls. They're clearly taking all of their physical attributes from their mother, right? They're, you have the ex-husband who I believe is the actual parent, is the biological father of all these kids. However, they're not taking after their father. Machine Gun Kelly, his whole flow switched up. He's clearly not being any type of positive influence on these young boys' lives. So what's really going on with these young kids, right? These kids are going to grow up taking after their mother, thinking that all this is all right for them to do, and then they're going to then go out into the Hollywood spotlight and encourage other young kids to grow up the exact same way as them, cross-dress, and do all sorts of other stuff, right? And to normalize that type of behavior, right? Same thing here with Charlize Theron, right? If you don't know who she is, Mad Max, she was the girl who had the bald head and the missing arm, right? I think she had like a robotic arm in Mad Max Fury Road, right? The remake of Mad Max. She adopted 2 black children, right? They're both, I believe both of them are biological males. However, the oldest child is a biological male. This comes out at 7 years old as transgender. However, she comes out and says that, well, actually, my child, where's the quote right here? Let me quickly find this. Right here. Quote, I thought she was a boy too, Darren 43 reportedly said in the interview, until she looked at me at 3 years old and said, I'm not a boy, right? What type of bullcrap is that? Her daughter, Jackson 7, was assigned male at birth, but revealed she's a girl 4 years ago, right? So at the age of 3 years old, this child came out to her and said, I'm not a boy. What type of bullcrap is that, right? Republicans, again, are pushing laws in their state saying that, hey, if you are doing this, transition your children, especially when they're as young as 3 years old, right? 3 years old, and up, right? If they're, prepubescent, under the age of 18, and you are trying to encourage your child, or if you're a teacher trying to encourage children to go under trans affirming care or whatever the left calls it, you will be considered it will be considered child abuse, right? We're going to outlaw that in our states, and if you are a parent trying to do this, you will be considered, your child will be considered being abused, right? And that's what prompted Democrats to push laws to push back against that, right? It's totally, we just live in the most craziest timeline imaginable, right? But to finish all this up, Neo, for the most part, doesn't really go too much into any of this, like any of these topics. He simply says just this.
What's going on, loved ones? This is Neo. All right, listen. I normally don't give too much of a damn about what y'all think about what I do, what y'all have to say about what I say, whatever. I normally don't care because, like I said, opinions ain't special. Everybody got one. However, this is something I feel very strongly on, and I need y'all to hear this from the horse's mouth, not the publicist's computer. So check this out. First and foremost, I do not apologize for having an opinion on this matter. I am a 43-year-old heterosexual man raising 5 boys and 2 girls, okay? That's my reality. Now, if my opinion offended somebody, yeah, sure, I apologize for you being offended because that wasn't my intention. My intention is never to offend anybody. However, I'm entitled to feel how I feel. I'm absolutely entitled to feel how I feel the same way you are entitled to feel how you feel. I ain't asked nobody to follow me. I ain't asked nobody to agree with me. I was asked a question and I answered the damn question, okay? I have no beef with the LGBTQIA plus community whatsoever. I ain't got no beef with y'all. Do whatever the hell it is you want to do. Do what you want to do with your kids. However, somebody asked my opinion on this matter, and this is how I feel. I will never be okay with allowing a child to make a decision that detrimental to their life. I will never be okay with that. I don't care. I definitely plan to educate myself a little bit more on this matter. However, I doubt that there's any book anywhere or any opinion that somebody's going to tell me that's going to make me okay with letting a child make a decision like that. That's just period, point blank, and that's how I feel. If I get canceled for this, then you know what? Maybe this is a world where they don't need a Neo no more, all right? And I got no problem with that. I'm a hustler, all right? I'll figure it out. I got kids to raise, and I'm going to do that regardless. So with that being said, y'all have a good day. I love everybody. Live how you want to live, love how you want to love, but your opinion is yours. Speak your opinion as much as you damn well feel like it. Because as I said, they're not important. They're not special. Everybody got one, and you're entitled to it. I'm entitled to mine, all right? Y'all feel how y'all want to feel. Have a great day. It's Neo. Peace and love.
Right. And so just to piggyback off this, right, not to make it too long, I want to end this video real quickly. However, this whole idea, right, if you are part of the LGBTQ community, right, I really don't care what you do. However, when you have, right, because the whole idea behind this, right, what the LGBTQ community used to push was tolerance, right? You don't have to agree with what I'm doing, the way I live my life. You don't have to participate, right? That was the big thing. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to participate in it. You just got to recognize that under the Constitution, we have just as much as legal protection to engage in what we want to do as much as you all do, right? That's what tolerance used to mean. However, we see now in Canada, right, where the Muslims and Christians have to team up in order to push back against what teachers are doing in Canada, is they're openly demanding absolute participation in a lot of the LGBTQ pride stuff, despite the fact that Muslims and Christians overtly say, no, that's not part of our religion. We don't believe in that. And we believe that, and, we want to opt out, right? In Canada, they're openly saying, no, you can't opt out of it, right? You must participate, right? And that's what prompted a lot of the Christians and Muslims to come together to boycott and protest against this, right? In America, we are open again. You see here where teachers are overtly saying there's no more tolerance. It's tyranny, right? It's overt tyranny. They're openly trying to encourage your children to participate and experiment in this type of in the LGBTQ community. They want your children to participate in experiment to figure out whether or not they're trans, whether or not they are non-binary, or whatever their sexuality is, right? Under the guise of sex education and trying to push LGBTQ acceptance and all this other crap, right? They overtly tell you straight up what they are doing. They're constantly getting exposed. And so, again, when it comes to the whole idea of, okay, if you're 18 years and up, or if you're part of the LGBT community, sure, go do whatever you want to do by in private, right? But no, you have people who are overtly going into school systems, going into education system, school counselors, summer camps, and putting themselves right. And that's just the whole craziness about libs of TikTok, right? Libs of TikTok simply just repost TikTok videos of leftists posts that they post themselves. These people are openly going on TikTok saying, hey, yes, I'm bringing these books to schools. Yes, I'm putting up these flags in schools because I want children to ask me about it. I want to encourage children to participate in it. And then you see it here, they're openly saying, I'm encouraging children to do this, and also encouraging them to not tell their parents. We are actively engaging in trying to teach children about this crap and tell them to not tell their parents. And if their parents happen to find out and disagree, well, guess what? They have states that they can run away to in order to then engage in gender affirming care and stuff like that. So it's no longer tolerance, right? You guys are overtly trying to go after the children. You guys are groomers. It's simple as that. Okay. And so when it comes to, these the celebrities, right? Celebrities and other private citizens who are encouraging their children to do this, right? The children are 7, 8 and younger, right? 10, they're literally young children, right? And it's clearly it's clear as day, right? Anybody with a IQ above room temperature can clearly look at these children and say, this is something that they themselves are not coming up with, right? This idea is not popping into their head, artificially, okay, or naturally, right? This type of stuff is being put into their head artificially, right? Somebody else is putting these ideas in these children's head. You cannot sit here and tell me that a 3-year-old toddler just randomly comes out and says, I'm not a boy. And then all of a sudden she's like, okay, hooray, yip, yip, hooray. You're now a girl, and I'm going to, allow you to do all this, the cross-dressing and the gender-affirming care. There's no way. Okay, and then you have this doctor here, right? Dr. Helen Weber. I don't know how to pronounce her. Weber Lee. What is her doctorate in? Because she's over here praising, right? What a lucky little girl. That's a 3-year-old biological boy. There's no way she's a gender specialist at Gender GP and online transgender medical clinic. There's absolutely no way that's bizarre. That's so backwards, dude. And they're just okay with this, right? Because at the end of the day, really what it is just bolstering the numbers, because they're trying to push that this somehow, right? Because again, when I talked about feminism, right? Feminists openly push the idea that gender roles between, what is a male, what is a female, was something that the patriarchy just made up. It's all a social construct. The LGBTQ community didn't pick that up as, well, hey, if the ideas of what a male is and a female is a social construct, well, then that means sexuality is also a social construct created by the patriarchy in order to oppress us, right? So therefore, gender is just a spectrum. That's why you have the 2SL, right? LGBT became 2SLGBTQIAP plus whatever, right? And they have, it's times of affinity, right? It's all weirdness, right? It has no meaning, no purpose, because if it's such a an expansive spectrum, then really it has no meaning. It's watered down. It's as watered down as the ocean, right? It's not vast. It's not, has no real depth, right? It's really just a desert. It's really just a desert. It's expansive. It's dry. There's really nothing alive out there, really. Okay. That's really what it is. There's really no depth to it. There's no actual life to all this crap. It's so scattered out vast that essentially just all meaning, all purpose has dried out, like like most deserts were oceans, right? They were vast oceans that dried out and became lifeless. That's what this new 2SLGBTQYA plus infinity has become. Right. And to sit here and teach young children who don't even understand the principles, right? 3 years old, don't even understand how to write their name, don't even understand basic math, right? What, how to, not poop themselves, right? They're still wearing diapers, right? They're still wearing pull-ups for all, right? Don't even really know how to properly clean themselves, right? Take care of themselves, feed themselves, right? Go to a store or hold a job to work for some type of economic gain to provide for themselves, right? But yet they're able to sit here and just magically say, oh, I'm not my biological sex. Yeah, that's not natural, right? Kids don't just come up with these ideas naturally. It is being put into their heads, and we see it. Again, we see that it is being put inside their heads by these activist teachers who are overtly saying that, yes, we're going to the schools, we're putting these ideas in their heads, we're openly encouraging them to experiment with their sexualities and what they want to identify as, and we're telling them to not tell their parents. And if their parents figure out and disagree, well, guess what? We're also trying to push laws in blue states so that these areas can be safe havens for these children in order parents to take them and flee to these blue states where they can then engage in gender affirming care. And so again, at the end of the day, I really did not care about your ideology, your sexuality, and all this other crap. But when you are clearly going after very young children, you're going to schools with the sole purpose of encouraging children without their parents' knowledge or consent to engage in these activities, that is straight up tyranny. People like to say the word fascism, right? No, in America, we used to call those people tyrants, right? Well, they are people who are overtly going against the constitutional protections of people, right? And so when Ron DeSantis comes out and makes a parents' bill of rights, what does the leftists come out and say? Well, it's a anti-gay bill. It has nothing to do with. It has nothing in the law has anything that says you can't be gay. It literally says you cannot do this right here. Go out and teach kids these type of topics with the intention of keeping it from their parents. The parents must know what you are teaching the kids in the school. And if you are not trying to disclose that, well, you don't need to be a teacher. You don't need to be anywhere near children because you are clearly somebody who's doing something that you have no right or business to do. If you are scared to tell the parents what you are teaching their children, then you clearly are not supposed to be there around those kids and teaching in general. It's as simple as that. So for leftists, again, to sit here and try to pretend that's not what they're doing and that's not what the bill openly says in the verbiage, you guys are clearly tyrants. You guys are the evil people. You guys are the baddies, right? And at the end of the day, it's right, sure, I don't care if you're 18 years and old, I don't care what you do with your body. If you're a parent, sure, to some degree, I don't care what you're trying to teach your child, but to sit here and pretend that it is natural for very young toddlers to just come out and be like, I'm a different gender or I'm some imaginary creature, and then you take them to get surgery or allow them to just dress up as that thing that they're clearly not. I have every right to question what you are doing and what your intentions are. And when you sit here and you are clearly saying that, nope, this is clearly natural. These kids came up with these ideas naturally by themselves without any type of outside intervention. And you're trying to then go out and encourage other people to engage in that type of activity as well. I have every right to criticize that, right? My freedom of speech is to be able to criticize what you're doing. And when I turn around to see, hey, there are people who agree with you who are openly going to the school systems to, again, do the exact same thing with children that are not their own. I have to say here, I didn't come to the conclusion that you guys are literally working together in some sort or manner to push this, to normalize this without, in doing it secretly. We have evidence that you guys are doing it secretly. And with the sole intention of teaching kids this very weird ideology that is clearly not normal, or that is clearly not normal in nature. It's as simple as that. Sorry, but it's what you guys are doing. Okay, so again, like what Neo said, there's no I have no hatred or anything like that. I'm a Christian. I don't hate, right? I can dislike the ways of, certain things, right? Don't hate the sinner, hate the sin. Okay. And so again, I have no hate, bad feelings towards anybody who's part of the LGBT community. But when you guys are engaging in type of activities like this, I have to criticize it. I have to call it out, because what it is evil. Again, look at what you guys are doing. This is clearly, you guys are doing it with, with evil intention, right? And if I come out and I say, hey, I don't agree with what you guys are doing, and you guys are doing something that's clearly not good, and your only response to that is, try to cancel me, or try to silence me, censor me, and stuff like that, then I'm going to sit here and say, clearly, you guys are definitely doing something you're not supposed to be doing, right? If you're not trying to come out and openly say and debate this type of topics with me, or go to the general public, right? If you guys are continuing to do this in secrecy, and not going to the general public to openly tell everybody what you're trying to do, I gotta sit. I can only assume that, yes, that this is not something that is widely popular, that you will get backlash for engaging these type of tactics that you're doing, and therefore you and I both know that you are doing something that is clearly not good. But because you believe that you are morally superior, that, as this lady right here says, her code of ethics, right? It's going to pop up in a second. But she says, I know that I have my own right code of ethics, right? So in her own right, that doesn't always go along with the law, right? So in her own personal code of ethics, she believes that she is allowed to do what she's doing here. Sorry, that doesn't apply. Okay, that doesn't follow with the rest of what society believes. Okay, get out of here with that. Okay, so like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you, Patriots, on the battlefield.